Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
We will go into the depth of different versions. We will be triggering first the Hl7 v2 or maybe Hl7 fire, but we will be covering both H7 v2 as well as Hl7 fire. That let's say, if some organization triggering H7 version 2 or dealing with HFL7 version 2, we will have an idea and we can work on Hl7 v2 because that the huge market was covered by a Hl7 v2. And now most of the organizations are already implementing interoperability to basically transform the data from HL7v2 messages to HL7 fire kind of messages, fire kind of response. We will be looking into HL72 in depth. We will be looking into HSN fire. And yes, before we start HL7v2 and fire, there was a prerequisite, that is the installation of Python. Also some basic syntax. Why is implementation of Python or something that we will understand the basic syntax of Python and also the OAuth 2.0 and EAST APIs. In this session, we will cover basically some of the Python basics. We will be looking at the introduction to Python. That is some basic. Python, we will be working with different data types, that is list sets, tuple dictionaries. The first is the introduction to Python. And I would like you to remember these points. These are the most basic one, but the thing is, everyone forgets about this. The most important thing is Python is an interpreted language. Just keep the key. This thing in mind, that Python is an interpreted language and there are two types of languages. Basically, one is the compiled one and one is an interpreted one. Interpreted. By interpreted, what I mean is basically code is not compiled, but instead we will take help from an interpreter, that is VS Code, or let's say PyCharm or some other kind of interpreter which will execute our code line by line. You are saying about compiler and interpreter. There are two types of languages. Basically, one is interpreted language and one is compiled language. Just remember, Python is an interpreted language. The code will execute line by line. Like suppose, let me give you an example. We are able to see my PyCharm. Let's say I have something statement that is first it will print around, and we have different statement, that is it will print Charan, and also we have third statement which will be printing RAM plus Charan. RAM plus Charan. If I run this, basically this was a quick process. This was a quick process, but the thing is first, what statement I have on the first line is I'm printing RAM. On the second line is I am printing Charan. The third line, I'm printing both of the names. If I put a debugger line here also and try to debug this code, that you will be just able to see it slowly. This is the first line executed. If I move on to the next line, you can see on the console as well, we have RAM printed and then our compilation is stopped. If I move ahead one more time now, you can see now second line is printed. That is the Charan. If I move ahead one more time now and the third line is printed. This is how the line by line execution is done in a Python programming language because it is an interpreted language. Got an idea? Is that clear? Great. Now there are some pros and there are some cons as well. Being Python an interpreted language. The first thing is we do not have the pro. Let's consider pros. The first thing is basically we do not have to rely on the full completion of the full compilation of the code. But compilation, what I mean is basically just keep in mind that there are different programming languages as well. Have you heard about C++, Javanet? In that languages, what is happening is until and unless your whole code is compiled, it will not run. Maybe there is an issue with your code. There are thousands line of code you have written and there is issue on 998 line. Until and unless all the issues are solved, your code will not be compiled. And until it is not compiled, it will not run. Do you understand? But this is not the case in Python, as Python is an interpreted language. Code is not compiled, but instead the interpreter executes it line by line. Even though if your program is failing on line number 998, you do not have to worry about it. At least all on the prior lines before the error is occurring, the prior lines to that will be executed. And at least you will have a clear understanding to what your code is executing, at what point of line your code is being executed. This is the pros of being Python, an interpreted language basically, but at the same time there are some cons as well. Being an interpreted language, Python is slow as compared to other programming languages such as E, T, C, C++, Java. Because the execution is happening line by line here. Basically, the execution is happening line by line. If there's suppose thousands and maybe more than thousands line of code, basically the interpreter have to visit every line. Every line of code will be executed until that no other executions can happen simultaneously. This is why Python is a slow language. But in the case of other programming languages, let's say CTs first. Java, your whole code is compiled at once and your whole code is run at a single time using multi-threading. Multi-threading is basically the concept where your computer threads your computer cores. Basically, you have heard about 8-core CPU, 6-core GPU, CPU. All your multiple cores are being engaged and within a core, let's say if you are working with one of the core of your CPU, there's 8 core of CPU. Let me try to annotate it there. Let's say this is your CPU having multiple core. Let's say we are having 2 core CPU. Now, within this core, your code will be present. There is some code of yours. Within this core, there will be threads, small threads. There are. These threads are not like a string or something which we use generally in our daily life. We consider it as a thread-like structure. With this, thread will be responsible. Let's say this thread is responsible for following your C++ code. This whole thread will not be utilized, What it will do is it will convert this thread into the small processes. That is, this is the process 1. Let's say this is process 2. This is process 3. And all of the processes are executed within this single thread. Let's say this process is responsible for running your C code. Still, there are 2 processes which are vacant. But in the case of Python program, let's say this is your program. All the things are run dynamically. There will be an interpreter required to run this code. This is the interpreter. Let's say PyCharm or Visual Studio or something like that. This is the interpreter. This interpreter will be like holding this whole thread, because this is an application, total application. And this application will be holding a whole thread. That is why the reason is the thread will not be able to preprocess itself into a small processes. It will not be able to preprocess it into small processes. And this interpreter will be holding this whole thread. This is why Python is considered a bit slow. But at the same time, then you might be thinking that if Python is slow, why are we using Python? Why are we not using C, C++, Java? But the thing is, yes, exactly. The simple syntax, like the easy to understand concept of Python. Also, Python is versatile and widely used. Each organization is adopting to Python, like not adopting really, but like they already have some projects or might be some technology which they will be working on with Python. Every organization is now working with Python that is versatile and widely used. Also, there is huge community support as well for Python. Also, one more thing is we do not have to worry about writing code from scratch all the time. Let's say, suppose I want to. There is some file. Let's say if I have some file. Let's say this is my file. There is some data into my file. This might be any kind of file, document file, image file, anything. It may be. If I'm using another programming language, that is C, C++, Java, then I have to write the whole code for reading this file and handling all the things and all. But in Python, we can just write with open. We can give the file name. That is, let's say we are reading this file. I will be copying its address when my file is present. I will tell that this is the file. I want to read this file and I will assign a variable for reading this file. I want to read this file in F. And now I'm creating one more variable, that is data variable. And I'm telling that read that file. If I try to print data and run this program, I have the whole file data with me now in a single variable, that is the data variable. Here you are sending the complete data to F variable. No, not F variable, the data variable. This is also data variable. F is the instance of the file. Now I like basically told the program that open this file. I want to read this file and I will give the alias of the file name as F. Let's say if I'm executing this piece of code, I will denote this file as F. Every time, I will not give the whole part or something. I will denote it with something. This is denoting variable, an alias kind of thing. I'm telling that data variable F is the value. Basically in here, what I'm doing is I'm telling my code to read the file. This is my file alias. It will be considered as file. I'm telling it to read it. Once he has read it, all the data in that file will be. I'm storing that in the data variable. I can give this variable name anything. I can give it X. I can give it my name also. Anything I can do. Let's say I give it X. I'm telling that read all the thing from this file, stored it into a variable and whatever. Then I want to do with the variable. I will do. I have now data in my bucket. This is my X variable bucket. This is my variable. I have stored the file data into this variable. It's like something like you. Now you have the money in your pocket. Now you can do whatever you want with the money. Similar to that. Now you have the data in your pocket and you can do whatever you want with the data. You can either manipulate the data, you can change something in the data. You can only get a specific thing from the data, anything like that. You got it? Yes. Clear enough. If this code is to be executed in some other languages, there will be like around 50, 60, 70 lines of code you have to write to simply open and get the data from a file. But due to the operational efficiency of Python, we just have to write a single three lines of code. Just have to give the file name and all that set. And we are already able to read the file. Even we are. If I give some other kind of instruction here, that is a RB or something, I can even write that to the file. Clear enough. So, let me remove this one. And that's what I did. Great. Now you get it. What is an interpreted language? What is a compiled language? Why Python is an interpreted language? Some pros and cons of Python we discussed. That is, Python is slow. Also, Python is why it is used. Any confusion or any doubt until now? If you have any doubt in your mind just crossing by, just let me know. Moving ahead, we will discuss more about Python's versatility. Basically, there are many more things available in Python. Just rather than doing some coding or getting some data and all, we can even build the whole web application. We can build a whole ML model, that is machine learning model. Even we can build an AI. We can build an AI engine also. There are different packages or frameworks I can say that are available in the market. For web development, we basically prefer using Flask and Django. Django is the greater version where we create a web API along with the whole web application. Flask is the lighter version for creating web APIs and rendering some small pages. Web application. Do you know what web application is? Present website. Yes, exactly a website, but where you are able to interact with the website. By interaction, what I mean is basically, even if you are able to create your account, you are interacting with the website. There are some websites which are only for display purpose, which you cannot interact with. You can just scroll and see the data. That's it. But a web application is basically where you can interact with the website and play with its data. Maybe you can create a user, maybe you can log in even. That is a web application. For web development, there are some few of the libraries present, that is Flask and Django. We will be majorly focusing on Flask because Flask is a lightweight and fast framework for developing REST APIs. We will be developing some of the REST APIs using Flask framework. We were discussing about. Basically, there are a few of the libraries in framework already present which can help us build our useful applications and be useful for our use case. They are for web development. We can use Flask and Django. We will be majorly focusing on Flask, creating some of the REST APIs, which is a more suitable because Flask is a lightweight application, a single page application, I can say. And there are some other tools as well. Like, for example, for if you want to do data analysis and visualization of data. Let's say there's some data, match statistics or something which we want to visualize in maybe a bar chart or pie chart, how a player performed, etc., etc. We want to perform some data analysis on the downtrend and uptrend of the player. We will be using pandas and matplotlib for that. There are many more, not only limited to this one, but this is just an example. We can use pandas and even matplotlib. Similarly, if you want to do some AI stuff now, AI is trending. We want to train a model of our own. That model will be like, let's suppose you have a restaurant chain, for example. You have a restaurant chain and you want a model which can be used only for your purpose, not a generic model which everyone is using. What you can do is you can grab a model, you can train that model on basis of your restaurant chain use cases. For that, you can use TransferFlow by Torch, etc., etc. Any confusion or doubt in this? Why we will be using Flask and what web development is basically? What is web application? The Flask, and these are the kind of APIs. No, they are not API. They are a framework to create APIs. This framework will help us to create REST APIs. With the help of these two frameworks, we will be able to create a REST APIs for our use cases. I will show you basically what exactly that doesn't mean. You were asking something, Ram. The difference between Flask and Django is it? The API, that's what I'm asking. No, basically we will be using them to create REST APIs. I will show you. I have some demo plan for creating REST APIs in that we are already using Flask. I will show you basically how I think are going on. Let's start with the basics of Python for now. Always, getting started is always done with the hello world. This is the unsaid rule of every programming language. You should be able to print hello world. We will be also starting with that only. And I think you are already aware of this, but still do this thing. You are able to now print a hello world. You understand what print statement is doing. It's just to print the message. Yes, exactly. And let's say your application is in production. Now, normal people in production means normal people will be able to use it. Will the print statement be useful for us in production? What do you say? Like, suppose you have a normal application which is responsible for doing calculation. Let's say this is these are the two numbers which user gave you. For example, think of it like these are the two numbers which users gave you. Think of it like that. Now you have some print statement that we are denoting here printing A and we are denoting here print, and in print we will be printing B. And we are doing some calculation, that is C is equal to A plus B. Now we will be again have a print statement that is printing C, and then we will print C. And now our application is working in production. We have our answer with it with us. Let's say you are the user. You are using calculator. You give this two number and you want the summation of those. Is it necessary for you to have this printing message visible? No, we need not to understand the functionality, like how it works, like a level of how it works is we need not to understand as a user. Yes, exactly. As a user in production, this print statement are like treated as an entity which will spoil our program, because print statement will take some bit of memory to print and it will slow down the process. A print statement is the enemy in production but in development. While you are developing this application, let's say you want to see what value you have in a variables. You are not aware of what the user gave you the value. For now, you're able to see that this is, yes, this is basically A is equals to 10. For now, you're able to see it, but let's see if some user is doing that. User is entering some value. You want to check what value is entered. Is it a correct format, or let's say something is wrong with the value? While in development, you will add a print statement. What we are doing is you're printing the value of A here. Printing A with the value 10. We are printing the value variable A here. Print statement is basically your biggest friend in development because it can help you debug your code. Let's say I have a value 10.0 here. And if I try to run this thing, we have the answer 32 now. But earlier we were having only 10 and the answer which we were getting is in whole number. That is whole digit 30. There is a huge difference even though only a dot point is added. But that the format is a huge difference itself. You want to check what user has given the value is that value of whole number or is that value of float number? In this case, what you will do is you will add a print statement and you will check the value. Now you can see that this is a float value even though the value is 10 only, but it is in decimal places. This print statement will be your best friend while development, but it will be your worst enemy in production. Clear about this thing? Any confusion or doubt in this thing? Now I take that as a no. Let's talk about some of the data types. That's some people talking about the data types. Let me write it down here. Data type. We have some of the data types. That is, first is a integer data type. Second is our float data type. Third is our string data type. And fourth is our Boolean data type. These are the 4 data types we will be majorly dealing with in Python. Do you understand what an integer is? Can you tell me what an integer is exactly? Any constant number. Any constant number, such as this one. This is a constant number. Let's try it here. Do you know what a float data type is? And with decimal like Ponto. Let's say this is 10.0. This becomes a float data type. Do you know what a string is? Any idea you are having what a string is? String is like a message. String is basically any textual format. Let's say this is a RAM. This will be a string. Let's say a different value. We have a char and this will be a string. Let's say we have even a smaller. This will be a string. Now, can you tell me, is this a string? Also, is it a string? Can you explain me why 10, 10.0 both are string and not here, but it's a string here? Because it is denoted and inverted. Exactly. That's the reason. If anything is denoted in a single inverted comma or a double inverted comma, we have 2 types of commas, single inverted and double inverted. And string is considered as both of them. If something is denoted in single or double inverted comma, that will be considered as a string. Now we have the final data type, that is a Boolean data type. Do you know what the Boolean data type is? True or false? Sorry. True or false? Exactly. True or false? Do you think this is a Boolean data type here? Will this be considered as a Boolean data type if it is also true and false only? But it is stored in inverted commas. It will be considered as string. Exactly. This will be considered as a string. Let's now take some examples. We will be printing. There is a function that is a type function to check the type of a variable. We have a tends to tensue. A is equal to 10. What do you think will happen if I try to run this program? Use the data type, sorry. Type of the data it denotes. What do you think will be printed on my console? It is float because it is decimal value. Yes, exactly. The class is float class. Similarly, if I remove this dot and 0, what do you think will be printed on my console? Exactly, in class. And in Python, it is not denoted as a whole integer. It is denoted as int. Similarly, and this will be a float class. Now, if I make this 10 in single inverted comma, what do you think will be the value now? String. Yes, exactly, that will be star. And string is denoted here in short form. That is star. Now, what do you think will be the value of a now? This is string. Exactly. It will be string only because it is in single inverted comma. And now, if I remove the single inverted comma and run this will be a bool value. It is denoted into a bool value. Got what data types are we dealing with in Python? Any text in inverted commas is instead as a string. Any text, and if we have any constant integer numbers in the same string, it will be string. Yes, exactly. For example, we had 20 here, but it is in double inverted form. The class will be string class. Any confusion or doubt in this? Like if you add text to it, a equal to 20, or if you add some name to it, a is equals to 20. If I add some name to it, where no along with 20, like this RAM. Yes, separate even comma after. This one a comma. This, what do you think it will be? You only tell me. But we need to add a inverted comma. We are inverted commas for both 20 and RAM. The thing is, if I run this program here, this will be a class string only. Because a string starts with the opening inverted comma and ends with a closing inverted comma. If this is ending here, if I have a closing inverted comma here, and then if I'm using a comma separated value, then it will give me an error. A single string is basically the closing and ending of a double inverted, or let's say single inverted comma. If I run this again, it will be class string. Any confusion or doubt in this? It's clear. Good enough. These are the data types. We have a lot. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.